EPAWA meteorologist Bobby Marchich here with your outlook for August 5th, 2024. It is Monday. We're back to work. Kinsley's Family Market in Broadheadsville, Monroe County, Pennsylvania sponsors the Monday video forecast. Summer's in full swing. Be sure to stop into Kinsley's and get all of your summer grilling favorites fresh from their in-house butchers 7 days a week, cut just the way you like it. They have steaks, burgers, and pork chops to fill your grill, and in seafood they have salmon fillets, lobster tails, and crab legs. And don't forget, the best of produce season is always available. If you're heading out to a party this summer and don't want to cook, just call their catering department and order up your favorites. Come celebrate summer with Kinsley's ShopRite, the world's largest ShopRite, located at 107 Kinsley's Drive in Broadheadsville, Monroe County, Pennsylvania. Proud longtime sponsors of the Monday video forecast. We got one heck of a week coming up here on multiple fronts. Okay, everybody's going to want to talk about this, and we will. We are going to talk about this. This bugger here is Hurricane Debby that will be making landfall this morning in the Big Bend of Florida, and then it's going to traverse Florida and Georgia like this and come over water again and then head up in this direction. Where it goes from there is still a little bit uncertain. I don't want to say it's completely uncertain, but we have a lot better of a handle on this now than we did at the end of last week. That's why I was telling everybody just to wait, be patient. We're not going to speculate. Well, now we're at the point we can start speculating. Okay, we need to know basically what the setup is going to be and what most guidance is showing where this is going to go and how it's going to affect us in the late week period. It will affect us, if not directly, at least it will be indirectly, and we'll discuss that here in today's video. Here is what it looks like right now. At the time of this video is recorded, and it's probably going to be making landfall when most of you are watching the video are about to in the morning hours on Monday. Just northwest of the Tampa-St. Pete area up here is a center circulation. So this is a system that's going to make landfall in the Big Bend. There's already hurricane warnings up here in these I guess that's purple, those colors there. And then tropical storm warnings are further down into northeastern Florida included, further down the coast. Okay, so that is where it is now. So it's down here making landfall this morning, but we have a shorter term threat that we have to pay attention to. Not today, though. Today is a mostly sunny start to the day, first half of the day, and then it's partly cloudy after that point. Mix of sun and clouds, very hot and humid. This is going to be the hottest day by far this week. If 89 to 93 is the temperature spread, you see tomorrow it's already going down 81 to 89, which is still kind of warm and near average, right? But after that, we're going to be in the 70s for several days, and that's a large part due to precipitation coming in and plenty of clouds, and a trough coming down from the north. And this trough will start advancing toward the region today, but it's not going to quite make it. It's still sitting, the trough itself is actually sitting up here, okay? And there's cooler air sitting on this side of this. This is going to come down to the south, and it's going to come through here on Tuesday. Tuesday, we're going to have some of our own issues ahead of this, okay? So this is going to make landfall and do one of these numbers. That's going to take for a little bit to get up into this point. So it's going to kind of go over land here for about 24 hours, reemerge over water, and then come up. So this has nothing to do with that. This is just a frontal boundary dropping off to the south. It gets our far northern areas, far northern tier of Pennsylvania. Overnight, you might have a shower or storm nearest the New York-Pennsylvania border, but the rest of us will be high and dry tonight, just muggy. And then we get to Tuesday. Tuesday is this system here. Okay, you see this is moving northward and it's making a second landfall somewhere down here by either Charleston or Myrtle Beach, somewhere in that vicinity in South Carolina. But this is that frontal boundary as it comes over our area here on Tuesday. There could be some heavy rain with this, and that's our biggest concern. And it's going to be a bigger concern for a relatively narrow corridor. And I'll show you that here in the NAM. Here's today's activity, by the way. And this is the latest NAM that ran this evening. You see, it kind of just falls apart. Doesn't even really make it into our area too much. So it might sneak down here into, like, near Williamsport. May scrape across northern, the New York-Pennsylvania border overnight with a few showers or storms. You can see that here, far northern tier, and that's it. It's not really much, okay? When we get to Tuesday, we start off dry, partly cloudy. This front is going to be, even though it's not shown here, you can't see it with anything popping, but the front at this point, when we get to noon on Tuesday, is going to be draped just like this, right across the area. So that's going to become the focus of scattered showers and thunderstorms, and they are going to be slow-moving, heavy rain producers, and you're going to have training of storms. That means that you're going to have one area get hit, and then it might be dry for an hour or so, and you have another one come in, and then another one. You just keep going over the same areas, and that's going to be leading to a flash flood concern. Okay, when we get in the afternoon, here we start seeing the storms pick up, and it's wanting to target like this I-78 and just point south corridor. See all that? Where those storms are, the heavier storms are sitting right down in here in these areas. That both the 3 kilometer NAM and the RGM are doing the same thing, highlighting those areas, and they're just getting one after another, where the storms are just sitting there and not really moving, and they just keep redeveloping. So this is not good news for Music Fest that evening, I'll tell you that. But we'll, hopefully that is, maybe it'll end up a little bit south of there. I'm not sure, but it looks like overnight you're going to have some more numerous scattered showers and thunderstorms for the entire area. But as far as total rain, this goes through the whole night, the entire night, and actually into Wednesday morning, okay? If you look at, this runs out of range here at this point. If you look at the RGEM total rainfall, this is very similar to what the NAM's doing this evening, and look where it takes it. It's highlighting generally on either side of 78 here, at I-78 and south of I-78. Same places the NAM are highlighting for that heavy rain, but look at some of these rain totals you're getting in here. You're getting 2-3 inches of rain out of multiple storms going over the same area. So this area here is where it's focusing on, right along that boundary, where that boundary is sitting, right in there. That's where the focus is of the heavier rain and the training thunderstorm potential. Doesn't mean you're not going to get rain up here, because you certainly will, but you're going to have a relatively narrow corridor of just training storms right near the boundary. And if that boundary is, in fact, right here, like it's shown, on either side of that boundary, we're going to have the highest lift, and therefore squeezing out extra precipitation in a very high precipitable water content atmosphere that day. So it's going to be humid, and this is just going to dump wherever that boundary is set up. So if the boundary is a little faster, that'll be closer to the Mason-Dixon line. If it's a little slower, it might be over the Poconos, southern Poconos, maybe Lehigh Valley, north of Harrisburg. But this is where they're both agreeing on right now. So we'll have another look at this again on Tuesday morning with the next video, and just make sure it's still in that same area. Right now, there could be some very heavy rain involved with those slow-moving storm motions that I spoke of. And then, as we get into after that, this boundary is going to sink off to the south here on Wednesday. It's actually going to be stalled over the southern portion of our region on Wednesday. It's not going to be able to move all the way through because you have this system that's going to be pushing against it. So the boundary is actually going to move a little bit south. So here's where it is. There's the boundary on Wednesday, right? And it stops its halt and it halts there because this is at the same time moving up in this direction. So it's going to push the front with it north. And we can start seeing that on the long-range NAM here, the simulated radar, if you will. This is looking at Wednesday evening. The boundary is right here. That's where that boundary is. As this moves up, it's going to kick this boundary north too. Watch this as I move it forward. See where that line is? Watch where the precipitation starts going. Back north with the boundary. Starts going back north. So that's going to continue to move into our area probably in the afternoon, as early as the afternoon on Thursday. Might be evening in some areas farther to the north. But this is going to start moving north, and it's going to force that boundary north. So even if this system here doesn't directly hit us, that's okay, because the boundary is going to be there, and this boundary is going to be pushed back over the region. If that boundary is lifting back north over the region, it's going to act as a warm front. You're going to have convergence along the front because this has become post-tropical as it moves up here, and the two are going to combine for a heavy rainfall here at the end of the week. Now, how heavy is it going to be? We're not certain on that part yet. This is taking out that stuff on Tuesday and just making it for this storm specifically. But the models are highlighting anywhere between 2 and 4 inches right now. I think it's a good starting point. There's going to be some areas that get higher than that. Some will get less. It's just going to be something we're going to continue to follow every single day throughout this week to see what we're dealing with. But there is a potential for some pretty heavy rain. And my concern is not with any severe weather, not with any wind. We're certainly not getting any wind results from this tropical system or remnants thereof by the time it gets up here. This is just a heavy rain threat, and that's it. Okay, that's the only thing we're looking at. Flooding, obviously, from that, but heavy rain. That's the main threat from a landfalling tropical system that comes over and brings us remnants, is a heavy rain deal. Okay, now it should be moving pretty uniformly. It's going to come up here like this and head out in this direction at some point. Where that turn is made and where it moves out to sea is going to dictate how far northwest these heavier amounts get. This is the WPC's outlook, which is the Weather Prediction Center for the National Weather Service, part of NCEP. Okay, so this is kind of a model blend they're using right now. And again, this is going to change over the next couple days here. 2 to 4 inches is probably a good starting point, but that can change certainly for some areas, especially the further southeast you go. Okay, so when it meets up with that boundary, whether or not this boundary is actually here, and here's what the European model does. Push that boundary to the north, and you can see that boundary now way to the north up here. So you're going to get some heavy rain along that because the two of these are combining, and this is actually enhancing rainfall. The tropical feed around this is pretty juicy. So it's going to feed all this tropical moisture into that front. Whether this hits or not is not really relevant. It's just going to converge, and you're going to have a lot of rain to contend with. So anyway, what I was saying is my concern is if these areas here are getting hit pretty hard here on Tuesday, or if it ends up being a little bit north or south there, wherever this front is that produces those thunderstorms that train over the same areas, you're only going to be, like 2 days later, you're going to be getting another dousing of heavy rain. And by the way, the timing of this looks like late Thursday through Saturday, before this finally pulls away Saturday night, and then Sunday is a dry day. So that's a long period of time, and it's not going to be raining that entire time, but you're going to have some bouts of heavy rain in association with this because of that convergence that I'm speaking of. So this is things we're going to work out in the week ahead just to finely tune details. And don't worry about this, and just don't pay attention to the, everybody's going to be talking about, oh, it's a hurricane, it's a remnants of a hurricane, and they don't want you to focus on that. That's not the focus. The focus here is, where this tracks, obviously. But the heavy rain is going to be the main concern here, and that is the only headline. We're not dealing with the winds that you would deal with a tropical system. Okay, it's just heavy rain. So we're going to continue to follow this throughout the week and see where we're going with this. But this is what the European model does. It takes this right over here, interacts with that boundary, brings you the heavy rain straight through Saturday, in fact. So late Thursday or Thursday night, straight through Saturday, you'll have to deal with this system, or at least the boundary of the system that's being forced northward and the convergence that I'm speaking of. So we'll follow that throughout the week, and I will have the latest information every single day. I want to get back to this here too, because this here on Tuesday is going to be no laughing matter for some areas with those training thunderstorms over the same area and a flooding concern there. So we want to follow that first in the short term. And then, of course, we'll focus on late week as it comes. I'm EPA meteorologist Bobby Marchers. That is your outlook for August 5th, 2024. Have a great Monday.